It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with financial advisors Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. My name's Mike Bernard. I am your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners on the program. With me in the KFG studios, certified financial planners Josh Gregory and Kevin Korhorn.
Well, you hear us talk about the need to have a certified financial planner in your life all the time. But how do you differentiate one financial advisor from another? Is there one approach that's better, one skill set that you need to have? Well, we're joined by and excited to have a special guest with us, fellow CFP, Amy Mullen. She's joining us on the program today to talk about the benefits of having a values-based approach to financial planning.
That's right. Actually, Amy's been with us for the past few days at Korhorn Financial Group, training the team, and we're excited to have her talk and share with you everything that she's done in her life's work and what she's passionate about. If you have any questions, likely this will spark some. Reach out to us. You can do so in a few different ways. Call or text us, 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. You can find us online, wisemoneyradio.com, and submit a question right there. Lastly, all over social media, you can watch the YouTube channel right now. Just search Wise Money Radio. You can find us Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff as well. All right. How do you find a certified financial planner that fits your needs? What are you looking for? How do you differentiate one from another? What about when you're facing big financial decisions in your life? How do you know whether to go right or left? What are those financial decisions rooted in and helping you kind of align your resources with where you want to go in life? We're actually going to dive into all of those topics and more with special guest Amy Mullen. She's certified financial planner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
She's from a company called Money Quotient out in Portland, Oregon. And like I said, she spent the better part of this past week with our team training us on some of the core beliefs that she and her team believe in over at Money Quotient on how to really help people have rich lives by empowering their finances to fuel those lives. So why don't you start with just introducing yourself and then also tell us about the company?
Sure. My name is Amy Mullen. I am vice president of an organization called Money Quotient. My mother, Carol Anderson, is president of Money Quotient, and we've been working together for the past 17 years. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we train financial planners on how to take their clients through a life planning process. And what this means is the advisors help their clients to better understand their beliefs and behaviors around money, also what their core values are, what brings them happiness, what's most important to them, helps them to create a vision of their ideal life that they'd like to move towards. And from that vision, they create very specific, meaningful, and purposeful goals. So typically, a client who comes out of this process is extremely excited about the future ahead of them and is very motivated to implement healthy financial behaviors. So this is all about helping the advisors help their clients be as successful as possible with their financial plan.
We've got a lot to hit there. Hey, just real quick, though, while we're still talking about your background, you have an interesting educational experience. You went to school, went back to school, and you have kind of an eclectic mix of, and I'm not going to be able to say it, but you kind of brought in different components in your college experience to equip you for what you're doing today. Can you share a little bit of that?
Sure. Yeah, it does take kind of a perspective of a lot of different disciplines to do the things that we're doing. And so I went to school and put together, designed my own interdisciplinary studies degree.
That's it.
Yes. And that includes psychology, communications, human development, adult development, also biology, how people's brains work, how they make decisions, what motivates them to take action, and then, of course, financial planning. So I went through the CFP coursework and sat for the exam, passed the exam. I am a CFP, so that was quite a trip, and glad that's over with.
Well, I just wanted Amy to share that, to explain to all of you really the different disciplines that need to be mixed together here to help you align your financial decisions to what you really want in life and have those financial decisions propelled at. So,
Well, we may have someone listening today who's considered a career in financial planning, and a lot of folks just believe you need to go get just a finance degree and just start
you're
learning
ready.
the numbers, the quantitative skills. And what you've been spending the past 3 days convincing us of is that it's important communication skills, the understanding what motivates us. That's every bit as important, maybe more so, in understanding our clients so that we can help them, as you said, identify and envision what the ideal life is. I love that phrase that you used. That was awesome.
All right, let's start at the root. So, the issue of how someone can be sure that their financial decisions are aligned to achieve that life they want. Tell us about that process, some of the important components. Unpack that a little bit for us, Amy.
Sure. Well, first of all, there's a ton of research out there that shows happiness and a sense of well-being really comes from when you're making your decisions and aligning your resources with your core values. When those are out of alignment, people feel dissatisfied in their lives, they feel frustrated, they feel unhappy. And so it is really valuable to take some time to evaluate what are your core values, what's most important to you, and what brings you happiness. And this is not an easy thing to do.
No.
People are very busy in their lives, and to be totally honest, they just don't know where to start or even how to think about it. So it's important to have a process that guides you in thinking through various aspects of your life and what's important to you. And I think advisors are in a perfect position to be those facilitators of this process because they can talk with their clients about their life and also about their money. So they're uniquely positioned to do this. But that doesn't mean every advisor does this.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in just a little bit. So, okay, so let's go a little bit deeper then on values. Are you saying that the folks listening right now should make a list of what their values are and bring that with them to see their certified financial planner, or is that uncovered in the financial planning process?
Well, I think it's a difficult question to answer. What are your values?
Yeah.
And that's why I
An
say
intimidating one too.
right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have different definitions of what the term values are and what values themselves. So I think that it's most helpful if there's some sort of process that helps you uncover those values. And effective questions that the advisor can ask can help to unpack what those core values are. And it's important to do it in a way where we're not being influenced by those around us or society. So I think effective questions, I can give some examples of a couple of questions.
Sure.
So, thinking about endeavors and activities that bring you a sense of intrinsic reward, meaning things that makes your heart sing or gives you joy, energizes you, thinking about those sorts of activities, endeavors, those are really the soul of the core value. So exploring some of that in different areas of life is one way to do that.
Yeah, most of us don't slow down long enough. Most of us don't have these codified where you say, yeah, actually, in my wallet or in my purse, I've got a list of my core values, and it's right next to my list of financial goals.
Right next to the list of the grocery list.
Yes, and on microfiche, I've got my financial plan. So, yeah, most of us have not done the work, and really it is a process because if you asked someone, it's like asking someone, what is your definition of success? Most people, right off the top of their head, they don't have that ready. They don't have a ready answer. But if you spent some time with them and you had a process, you can get to that.
Well, and I'm sure that it's possible for this to be a self-guided process, but I tell you what, one of the things that we experienced as a team was walking each other through some of these questions and kind of pulling it out, helping each other discover what our values are, and then getting them written down in a form that you see it there on paper and you're like, oh yeah, that is me. That is what I value.
We're going to be talking through some of those experiences, some of those tools, some more of those questions so that you can be prepared and maybe even answer some of these yourself. Another question that we're going to talk through is, what role do emotions play in this process? See, I would say emotions usually lead you to making terrible financial decisions. Amy actually has a different hypothesis. So we've got that and more coming up here on Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group. Time flies.
Yeah, it
Having
does.
fun.
So,
Nice job, Amy.
Thank you.
I mean, good job, Amy.
so I'm just wondering, is the radio show an appropriate venue to explain to Amy where she's wrong with these things?
Ooh, that's bonus content on YouTube. Okay, so I think it's worth sharing a little bit more. When we spoke yesterday, you said sharing some of the tool, not too much. I mean, just talking a little bit about what that process is that you've touched on. It's important people go through a process to find out their values. And so are you comfortable saying, that process usually starts with, and talk about some of the tools, maybe?
Sure.
Is that a good place to go next, or what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking like talking. I mean, they're not going to know the titles of the tools
Right,
specifically,
right.
but exploring the various categories like the
Totally.
satisfaction and values and biography.
Yeah, so in the context of someone looking for a financial planner, the question is what would someone expect to experience if they were meeting with a certified financial planner and going through the financial planning process? Because that's what you would expect, right? You would expect someone what we're talking about right there.
Yeah. And we're gonna communicate that distinction even more in the third or fourth segment. There, we're actually.
So do we
just
say
talking.
anything more about?
Yeah, we have lots of room. You can.
Well, I'm wondering if it makes sense, even at the top of this segment, to say one of the reasons why Amy is here is because our firm.
Why don't you say that? I'll lead us off, and then I'll kind of reintroduce Amy, and then you can just take it from there, and I'll bounce the question back to her.
Okay, so we were doing some work. Our filters are at their weakest point when we're kind of tired, or is that self-control?
Self-control.
Okay, same difference. Okay,
A filter is some self-control
yeah.
there. So,
So Josh, can you reach me under the table if I?
Here, I just throw
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Good. Throw something if I get off the rails. You
All
can
right.
hit me with the Kleenex box. All right.
All right, we ready? Are you excited and motivated about your future and how your finances are allowing you to have that future? That's really what we're talking about today. We've got special guest Amy Mullen on the program today. This is Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group. My name's Mike, here with Josh and Kevin and special guest Amy Mullen in the KFG studios. I want to say a special thanks to Ladue, Kern, and Keene, as well as First State Bank for sponsoring today's program. If you have any questions, let me just tell you real quick where you can find us online, wisemoneyradio.com. Call or text us, 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Lastly, all over the internet, social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at Wise Money Radio. Okay, so Amy Mullen is here from a company called Money Quotient, Portland, Oregon, and she specializes in creating a process that financial advisors take clients through to figure out what's most important in their lives. And then the financial planning process is part of that to help them align their financial decisions to achieve that life.
Yeah, and I don't want to take too much time here, Mike, because what Amy has to share is amazing. But we just spent 3 days as a team, and we had 16 people in the room getting trained to be better at working with clients. And the great thing is we have 8 certified financial planners on our team who are client facing and meet with clients all day, every day. We've got 8 more folks in the pipeline at various stages of CFP, so they will, Lord willing, eventually become certified financial planners. And we've said, look, we want to be the very best in the world. There's no reason, we've checked, there's no reason why we can't be the best financial planning firm in the world. So we're trying to get there. And so you say, well, why did we have Amy come from Portland? And it's pretty simple. It's much cheaper to have Amy come from Portland than to send 16 of us to Portland. Although there was a lot of folks that were hoping that we would get to go out there. But we heard about Amy, and we heard her mother on a podcast. And when I heard her mother talking to one of my heroes in the business, Michael Kisses, I said, I have got to learn more about this organization. And the training that Amy did. Amy is one of the most amazing trainers. I've been through so many trainings in 24 years. Because our motto is to outlearn the competition. That's what we're trying to do. Always growing, always developing, always learning. And I'm saying I know that I personally can get better, and our team has that same kind of hunger and desire. And so that's why.
And you guys know we are big believers in the comprehensive financial planning process, and that your goals need to be at the root of that. We've had special guests on the program before that are coaches and so on, and we've gone through goal planning process. But what Amy is going to share with us a little bit more of is the process of getting very effective, knowing what your values are, and then finding out what your goals are. So share a little bit more about that process, Amy.
Okay. Well, there's several interesting topic areas that we teach advisors to explore with their clients, and they're all very important to the outcomes in the financial plan itself. And the main core areas that we explore are satisfaction and values. This is really important because an individual's level of satisfaction with various aspects of their life really affects their overall quality of life and their well-being. And that level of satisfaction is directly connected to an individual's values. As I was saying before, if they're not spending their resources, and I don't mean just money, I mean energy and time as well, if they're not aligned with their values, then an individual feels a sense of dissatisfaction and lacks that quality of life that they really strive for. Another area that we explore is biography, an individual's growing up years and how they developed the perspective that they have around money and their money management habits. Many people were not taught specific lessons around their finances and how to manage them. Many of their parents were not taught as well. So a lot of what we do is commonly from observation. What you observe your parents or other adults doing with their money, you automatically take on those habits, or you automatically push those away and do the opposite.
I'm glad you brought that one up, because that was a source of a whole bunch of aha moments for our team. Start asking questions of each other about what was it like growing up in your own family of origin? What did you observe? What were some of your earliest experiences around money? And then watching people make the connections that, wow, that actually flavors a lot of what I do today, and they never even realized it. Mm-hmm. So asking some of these questions about your past, it's important in discovering why you're doing things right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what in our group, what we realized is really people are either living the opposite of what they saw and as a response to what they saw growing up, or they're repeating the exact same patterns and habits that they saw growing up. And so sometimes when you look at this, you think, well, is this really, what does this have to do with my portfolio? And the reality is it has everything to do with your portfolio.
Sure.
It has everything to do with your decision making as well, because a lot of people are just operating on autopilot and not really recognizing what they're doing or why they're doing it. And so the first step to making positive behavior changes is to first recognize your own perspective and what you're currently doing. Sometimes those habits that they've developed are actually healthy habits, and just recognizing that and acknowledging that can make them more mindful about those healthy habits, and they do it more. But other times they recognize, this is not helping me be successful, and they can make a decision to do it differently in the future.
One of the other areas that I know is part of kind of the process is something that actually is Josh's brilliant. We've done a couple of series here on the Wise Money Show about different life transitions. And part of the process that Money Quotient, you guys help advisors walk clients through is even more detailed than, I mean, we've identified the 7 major life transitions, but yours are much more broad. And so why don't you explain the transitions part a little bit?
Right. This is another topic that's very important to explore. I don't think people realize that practically every transition that you experience in life does have some sort of financial tether. So it's important to look ahead into the future and identify transitions that you know are going to occur, but also take a look at ones that you might have concerns about or aspire to. And then lastly, think about, what could happen that may be unexpected, because the best thing we can do is build up some resilience, some practical strategies to help us stay on course. So for being good about looking to the future and protecting ourselves, then we'll work through it easily.
Can you give us some examples of those types of transitions that you would want people looking for and being watchful for on the horizon?
Sure. There's all kinds of work transitions that can obviously affect your income and the benefits that you receive. And there's career changes and things that people aspire to in that area. There's family transitions, having children, obviously, maybe even planning a special family event, or empty nesters. There's big financial shifts for empty nesters. There's also, let me think, legacy planning. So this is more looking at what do you want to transition in the future to your loved ones? What do you want to communicate in the future to your loved ones? So those are some examples of the types of transitions that can come along.
Yeah. If you're interested, again, we did a series on this. I'm going to say it was season 2. So if you're out there looking for the life transition series, I'm probably going to need to cut you off here, Amy. But I want to get the discussion started about what role emotions play in all of this, and the whole start with why sort of thing. So again, emotions usually lead you to take terrible financial decisions. What's your take?
I believe the opposite. Yeah. The opposite. So. Yeah.
Sorry, Mike, you're wrong.
Look at how high Amazon stock is. I got to buy that. Okay. Anyway, but go ahead.
Well, awareness, if you can understand your emotions and how they're affecting your decisions, you can kind of actually harness that to help you make decisions that are aligned with your values. So I think we're going to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, we are. And then I want to weave that into, okay, how do you set good life goals and financial goals around that? So talk a little bit more about the goal setting process. So a lot more to come here on Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group.
Good
Nice
job,
job.
Amy.
Yep. That was good time management right there.
Yeah.
A facilitator knows.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Us facilitators do know, don't we, Amy?
I think you know. So we all have our own little issues. Both Josh and Kevin tend to have very long meetings.
I think it's funny how you said we have issues, and then you talked about mine and Kevin's.
You guys can talk about mine some other time.
Yeah, that's right.
My issue is I obsess about the time, actually, pretty fanatical about
you
it,
do.
which is actually, you could say a strength. It's certainly a weakness.
Well, when people step into my conference room, there is a sense of timelessness. And all concepts of time and space evaporate. And there is a realness that happens that
There is something good about the connection, though, that is made where...
people don't
Right.
want to leave. And I, quite honestly, I can't blame them. I get it.
They're locked in.
All right. So I wrote down the SMART acronym.
I did too.
Okay, so you could talk about that. I thought maybe the Simon Sinek stuff, starting with why, because, and this would be for you YouTubers, right? When your emotions getting to you, when Bitcoin is trading at $20,000. Don't give in to those emotions,
Hey,
but harness your emotions when you're trying to figure out what you really want in life, right? And then get motivated, get excited about making decisions with your finances to get you there.
So if we're tying it back to what are you looking for in a financial planner, would we talk about the emotional connection you want to have with your planner?
Yeah.
Like you want to say, hey, listen, I like getting a phone call from my planner. I like going to see my planner. My planner gets me. Right?
Yeah, it sounds like that was in some sort of self-help talk, like those specific questions. Were you just pulling those out of thin air?
Yeah.
And gosh darn it, people like me.
Yeah,
That's what it sounded like.
I did see my psychiatrist this morning. Do you think that's where it came from?
So we're heading into segment 3. The end of segment 3 and probably all of segment 4 will be about that. Finding the financial planner, the difference in them, but then also some of the fears and trepidation people have. And so there's a whole lot to hit there. So probably
I
the
think
4th
people could be
segment.
listening right now and think, I have to go through that.
I know.
I mean, it is. I think it is scary if you've either had a bad experience or never been through it. It could be scary. Just like I know you gave me a face like you don't believe anything that I was saying about being scary, but there are people that don't like to go to the dentist, and you're like, why do you not like to go to the dentist?
A whole bunch of people actually are very afraid of going to the dentist. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not saying it's
Well,
legit. I'm
you're-
saying the struggle is real, Amy. That's what I'm saying.
For going to a financial planner, yeah, initially people are scared to go to a financial planner because it's, they're afraid they're going to have to.
This is the best bonus content, so watch closely right here. No, go ahead, because you went into this, and it was awesome in the training.
I also hope to cover it in segment 4.
Well, so good. This is a good warm-up.
Yeah.
So, but you go ahead.
Well, people are afraid that they're going to have to reveal their lack of knowledge and mistakes that they've made. And there's a lot of shame around that. So they procrastinate and they don't go see a financial planner until something is to the most painful part where it forces them to go.
Well, the disappointing thing is that actually, people have had examples where financial advisors kind of create that shame.
Yeah, I
right?
actually have a story to share when we
Do
get
ya?
to that point. Just encountered it this past week.
Which
so
is
it's
sad.
fresh.
So as a Christian, people feel that way about church, then their own sin, their own struggles. And sometimes people encounter a pastor or maybe a believer that has made them feel guilty about something. And then it just turns them off completely. And it's like, no. This is about love and acceptance. And
No.
so, we're all screwed up. So, and your financial advisor should kind of acknowledge that too. Hey, maybe you're not the best, but you're certainly not the worst. Let's bear it out.
You got that going for you.
Yeah.
humans.
So-
How many people, like I grew up that finances were so secretive. And I
Sure.
remember my first job where I made $6 an hour folding my pay stub over. Because
Hey,
it was like
Daniel, we don't like to talk about what you made an hour is a secret.
And I remember talking to
Taboo.
my first financial advisor, telling him that this is weird for me because I was taught that this is
Not
private.
right.
Yeah.
True.
All right. We'll launch it and we'll talk about the goal process. All right.
Wait, and where are we going to get to the start with why thing?
Emotions.
Emotion. I thought we were
Oh,
leaving
yeah,
off
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
emotions
yeah,
and
yeah,
starting
yeah,
with why.
yeah, yeah.
That's a big. That to me, that connection with your advisor is incredibly.
Why? Why should we start there? Okay, ready?
That's horrible.
Terrible dad joke. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group, coming to you from the world headquarters of Korhorn Financial Group and the KFG studios. My name is Mike Bernard, here with Josh Gregory, Kevin Korhorn, and special guest, certified financial planner Amy Mullen from Portland, Oregon, and Money Quotient. She's talking to us today about how to uncover your values, the process that you go through, uncovering your values, your satisfaction, and then what your goals are, and helping to align your finances and your energy and all of your resources to get you there. We've got a lot more to cover. If you have a question, you can reach out to us a couple different ways. Give us a call, send us a text, 574-222-2000. Find us online, wisemoneyradio.com. Lastly, thank you, Bethel College Adult and Graduate Studies, as well as Diane Bennett with RE/MAX 100 for making the Wise Money Show possible. All right, Amy, we left off with talking about how evil emotions are and how they should never be a part of your financial life. I'm just kidding. Tell us about the power of harnessing your emotions and your financial planning.
Yes, it's really interesting, actually, because I think traditionally in financial planning, people just assume that when you're making decisions based on emotions, that it's a recipe for disaster, that you should be as objective as possible when making decisions. But the truth of the matter is, if you study how the brain works, the majority of your decision making and your behavior change comes from the limbic brain, which is our emotional, creative brain. And when that information, data information, financial charts and graphs, when that aligns with the decision we've made based on our emotions, that's when you see action being taken and people actually implementing the financial strategies. So rather than pushing those emotions away, I think it's all about being more aware of what your emotions are and how they're affecting your decisions so that you can be focusing on making decisions that are based on your values and what's important to you.
That all sounds like positive emotions too. Is there ever a time when there are negative emotions that could still lead to those mistakes that Mike was lobbying for and believing here, his hypothesis? You know, I'm thinking about things like greed or jealousy, selfishness, envy, fear. If that's driving your decisions, is there a way to harness that in a positive way, or should those emotions just be shed or ignored or protected against?
Well, the thing is when people make bad decisions or they are driven by some of these negative emotions, it's typically because they're unaware of what's going on. So I think the key here is to be more mindful, but to be more aware of what's going on with our emotions and how they're driving these decisions and behaviors. And then, examining that and making a decision of what's going to help you to be more successful or what's going to make you stumble and fall.
Yeah,
good
most people
stuff.
can connect their emotions to a bad financial decision. Most people sat in that room and they were popping the corks of the champagne and cheering, another person bought a timeshare. And then, the third round of managers comes and says, you really need this timeshare because you want to own your vacation, not rent your vacation. And people are like, well, so it's only at 14%, and I make these payments for 22 years. Okay, honey, let's do it. And so they can connect that, or they've made a car purchase or something that they regret, or they sold out of their portfolio in February of 2009. I mean, the Dahlbar study looks back 20 years and says the market did 10% and the average investor did 3%.
Right.
And so a lot of times there is emotion connected to decisions, and the wrong emotions are harnessed in making those decisions.
That seems like a powerful question to be asking. Are there any regrets? Now, you've often taught us, though, that you begin with the positive and build upon the strengths that you've identified, the good decisions that went well. But are there lessons that can be learned from the other side, as Kevin was saying? The things that you actually wish you could go back and redo differently, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of benefit to examining the decisions we've made in the past. And that's why another reason biography is a really important topic to go into discussion with, because we look back at the transitions we've worked through in the past and we learn about what was there to support us and help us make it through, but also what got in the way. So when we're looking towards the future, we can actually proactively plan for what we need, not only financially what we need to help us move through transitions, but also what are the support systems that we need to put in place to help us make smooth transitions.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, if you think that looking back over your financial life might dredge up some negative emotions, it actually is amazingly freeing to look at those things and understand. I look at bad financial decisions as it's your education. And the money that you spent or lost is your tuition. So you paid for an education. And the question is, are you going to use your education?
That's right.
And if you can work with someone who can help bring these things out and help you understand what's going on, there for most folks, there's a lot of power in what's happened up in their life up to this point. And if you're working with the right financial planner, and we always say if you're going to work with a financial planner, make sure they're certified. In working with the right CFP, you can harness whatever's happened in your past, good or bad, to really accelerate and throw some fuel on the fire.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're talking about the importance of having the right connection with a guide who can walk you through that, because I mean it's a very vulnerable act to start, as you said, kind of dredging up the past or putting your own life under the microscope a little bit. But if it's done right and it's done with someone who is trustworthy, who can walk you through that process, as you said, the lessons can be pretty powerful.
I think it's important to recognize that everybody's made mistakes,
Yep.
that that it's very normal that we're all going through this. And also in looking at some of the mistakes we've made in the past, also, some of the successes we've had, that it's for the intention of when we move forward doing as best of a job as we can. So it's for the purpose of proactively planning how can we move forward and be as successful as possible.
Yes. Let's talk about goals. Let's use that, especially coming off of mistakes and discussions that I've had with folks. They'll often talk about some mistakes and, I wish. Okay, let's take that energy and apply it towards what you want to create in the future. So what's the goal planning process? What are your thoughts around establishing goals?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I think a lot of people have some negative feelings about goal setting for a lot of reasons. They've had failures in the past, or goals were forced upon them by other people, and it wasn't really something that was meaningful to them. So there might be some mental obstacles to get through first before you can fully engage in a good goal setting process. But one of the things we've all, I think, learned in our growing up is this SMART acronym, how your goals need to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and tangible, which to me sounds extremely boring.
I love it. But you guys know I'm the nerd.
Extremely
Sounds
boring.
smart to me.
So instead, in our process that we teach advisors to use with their clients, we're helping those individuals to look for goals that are actually significant to them, that are meaningful, attracting, meaning that they are motivated to work towards that goal. They're rewarding, not just at the end, but also on the journey, and that they're timely. Is this the right time to be working towards that goal, or is it possibly conflicting with other things going on in their life? So this is how we have changed those words for that SMART goal acronym.
So, but all connected back to the why and connected back to meaning. And then if you're connecting some of the dots that Amy shared, to get you excited about your future and your financial future. Right, so you're trying to harness that. Now, I argued with you during our training about, well, you can't set aside some of those specific and measurable things. You still need to know, well, what are you shooting for? But getting the emotions connected to that's critically important. Is this type of process, can you get this from any financial professional? No, we would argue no, and we want to talk about the different, kind of the disparity in financial advisors out there and how you go about finding the right one. So that and more coming up here on Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group.
Well, you can't because I invited several of our peers to join us in the training, and
Yeah.
none of them joined us.
That's a little disappointing bonus content on YouTube. We actually did.
Yeah.
So we're very collaborative in the area and have an abundance mentality. So if we all get better, the community gets better,
Absolutely.
right? And
Yeah, we want to change the world, and the power that gets harnessed in understanding how to be more effective with those people that you're serving, that is a huge deal.
you know what, Amy, I didn't share this before, but we have a lot of people, especially listening to the show, who kind of enjoy managing their finances and making decisions and tracking numbers. And I don't know, I think we're blessed with a pretty awesome audience, the folks that I've gotten to talk to. And yet some people, when they come into our office to talk about goals and they've had those habits, we ask them the question, is this what you want to be focused on? Like, do you really enjoy this? Sometimes people say, yes, I really do. But a lot, actually a surprising lot of people who are actually good at analyzing spreadsheets and that sort of stuff actually say, no, I don't want to spend my time doing this at all. I feel like I need to in order to keep my eye on the ball, or I feel like I'm supposed to.
Or they haven't found someone that they can trust to delegate it to.
That's right.
Right?
To do it like they would do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Because I was thinking about that last night as I was mowing my lawn. And so my wife gets to ride the big zero-turn mower that goes at about 8.5 miles an hour. And actually, when she turns, tears up the lawn. Honey, if you're watching this, I love those divots. I mean, I think they're amazing. But
It's art.
But so we're doing that. But we're actually meeting with a guy today who's going to help us around the farm get things spruced up for the open house that we're going to have for Joshua's graduation. And yet I'm thinking, is he going to do it like I would do it?
Yeah.
If he runs the weed whacker around the house, is he going to hit the siding? All of these things. And so it's hard. It is hard if you like doing things. I actually love, it's very therapeutic. I put on my headphones and I listen to stuff the whole time. So it's as if I'm not even there. It's a kind of an out of body experience. It's delightful. But I don't have time to burn.
Well, it's interesting because there is research out there too that talks about how perfectionism can actually take away from your life satisfaction. Like if you won't give up things that
Can't get no.
if you can't give
Can you
up
send us
things-
that study, please? And copy Kevin Corhorn?
Perfectly done, yeah.
Yeah. I need it to be in PDF and a 12-point font.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
all right. Fourth segment already. Landing the plane.
See,
So,
Are we going to get into any questions, or you think we'll just end on this?
I think we end on this. And so there's a
Hey.
whole bunch to hit here with financial advisors, but then you can take it anywhere else you want to go.
here, this is what
Action items and
this is what I would like to do is I would want, if you're a financial professional, I think Amy needs to do some shameless self-promotion.
Yeah.
Seriously, and you need to say, "Hey, listen, if you're listening and any of what I've said is resonating, how is that best? Is that us lobbing Casey, how is that best?"
It's probably best coming from you
yeah,
guys.
it's probably best coming from us.
You can just ask me about my website, or you give an endorsement, and then you can say, tell them what your website is, or I don't know.
That's pretty much how I would do it. You can do the kind of a generic thing of, how do people get a hold of you and that sort of thing. But it's best coming from you guys.
Okay, so
Do we want to launch the segment like that? Or do we land the segment like that? I get a little nervous at that, just in case
I
we...
would launch with it.
Okay.
I would do what Casey says because he's the best.
That's not me that says that. It's just the ratings.
So humble.
Right after we talk about what's the right way to promote someone,
Do I
promoter goes into self-promote mode.
I'm gonna do it.
Do I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize? I would never say that I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. It's all the people around me saying I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Dude, I love our president. Can I say that out loud? He provides the most amazing entertainment ever. If you listen to that dude, it is like it's like hanging out with your college buddies all over again. You're like, okay, this is kind of a competition to see who could be the most fill in the blank.
Absurd.
Yeah. All right. Land on the plane. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group. My name is Mike Bernard, next to Kevin Korhorn, Josh Gregory, and special guest Amy Mullen, coming to you from the KFG studios. If you've missed anything, I'm going to point you to the YouTube channel because some of the richest stuff is on the breaks, the bonus content. So go to the YouTube channel. You can see every episode right there. Just search Wise Money Radio, and you can even subscribe. If you like what you're seeing, you can press that little like button, that subscribe button. You also find everything on podcasts as well, iTunes, Google Play. Just search Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group. Kevin was talking about over break doing all the yard work that comes with this time of year. Just subscribe to the podcast. Just listen to Wise Money while you're doing it. It's out-of-body experience, right, Kevin?
It is. It's almost like you're floating. It's amazing. But make sure you're wearing your Fitbit and getting your steps.
Yes, while you're mowing.
But we had a good friend of the show who binge listened to get caught up on his podcast all the way from Alabama up to Dowagiac, Michigan. So
if you have any questions, let me just invite you once again. Give us a call. Send us a text, 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. And online, wisemoneyradio.com. So with us today, all day, has been certified financial planner Amy Mullen. She's been doing some training with us, flew in from Portland, Oregon, and has spent the time this week with the KFG team. And if you're a financial professional listening to this program, and I know some of you are because I've talked to you out in the community, and thanks for listening, thanks for being a fan of the show. I would strongly encourage you to go through the process that we went through at KFG with Amy. And like Kevin said earlier, we had 16 of the financial professionals, both financial advisors, aspiring financial advisors on our team, tax professionals, insurance professionals, all getting the training about how to help an individual find their real values, the why, and what they're trying to do, and then align their finances, their energy, their resources to achieve that. So I would strongly encourage you to go through that experience and get connected with Amy. So Amy, how do people find out more about you? How do they reach you?
Well, probably the easiest way is via our website. So that would be moneyquotient.com, and people struggle with the spelling of that. So I hope you know how to spell money. But quotient
Amy's a terrible speller. I'm just going to put that out there. So you're not
You
the only
outed
one.
me. You outed me.
Yes, I did. So yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. So,
No, we
right.
embrace you as
I'm
a
a
terrible
human.
speller.
I
You
am.
are.
Yes.
So quotient is QUOTIENT and .org. We are a nonprofit, so there's the .org on the end. That's probably the easiest way to find us.
Yeah.
And there's email addresses and contact information on there, and it'll give you lots of information about our process and our trainings
And
as
blog,
well.
right? You can subscribe to
Right, we
blogs
have a
and-
blog right on our website as well. Lots of articles directed towards financial professionals about all of this stuff and how it works.
Yeah, and Amy and her mother are actually the perfect combination because her mother kind of pioneered all of the thinking, and her mother's a big researcher and writer. So she actually had this amazing content and these ideas. And Amy is amazing, is an amazing communicator. So she is great at sharing the goodness that her mother has put together. So we did the 3-day training. You could do that same 3-day training in Portland, and they have an annual retreat, and they do some really, really, really cool stuff. They are actually trying to change the world their own selves.
That's right.
So it's great to find fellow travelers on this road.
Well, that's right. And we need more financial advisors taking that approach here in our community.
Absolutely.
And, if you haven't found that financial advisor who is taking a values-based approach, keep hunting because they are out there. And hopefully Amy will keep reaching more of our fellow advisors and showing us a better way to coach our clients.
So let's spend a little time talking about that. So we've told you time and time again, almost every show, reach out to your certified financial planner. But even not every certified financial planner takes this deep of an approach, this type of process. So Amy, can you just, in your view, not ours, in your view, can you explain the kind of spectrum of financial advisors out there to help our listeners really know how to distinguish one from the other and really help them find what they're looking for?
Well, I think, having the CFP is the first step. And even in the CFP program, in the curriculum, they talk about how crucially important it is to understand your clients' values, their perspectives, what they want for their future, what's important to them, because you have to base the financial plan and the strategies on those things. But they don't necessarily give you a lot of methods for doing that. In fact, really none. And so at least that understanding from the CFP is good, although a lot of them don't have specific processes to follow. And unfortunately, I think a lot of them believe they are taking a holistic and comprehensive perspective when they're asking their clients, what are your goals? And they ask, do you want education funding? Do you want, they have these questions that they ask, but they directly lead to traditional financial goals that are probably already a part of their spreadsheets and their financial software programs. But what they don't realize is that there is actually a deeper level that they can go to with their clients and build that high quality of motivation to follow through on the financial strategies, retirement planning, education funding, these sorts of goals. Although many people have them, they're not extremely inspiring. So when you can help clients to uncover really what are those passions, what are those activities, endeavors that bring them that intrinsic reward, suddenly the motivation is a lot higher. And so it is kind of hard to find some of those advisors out there. This is a somewhat newish trend in the financial planning world. I think what they call financial life planning began in the late 90s and early 2000s, and it still is not hugely known in the profession. So there's pockets of these advisors. We have an advisor search directory on our website. So those advisors who've gone through our program are on there, which all of you will be on here shortly. So that's one way they can find some.
But if we were to just share in sort of, I hope, layman terms, you've got sort of a product salesman as a finance, and they go by the same name. They'd call themselves a financial advisor or financial planner, but they're really just trying to sell you some insurance or sell you an investment process. And then you have a certified financial planner who might just be selling an investment allocation or an investment product. And then you've got comprehensive financial planner, and then you're adding a component of, the deep work, that deep process to really flesh out what those true values are, what those true goals are. So really that's the spectrum. Let me touch one other area. That can be a pretty intimidating and fearful experience for someone to, number one, start looking and open themselves up to those different professionals. So what would you say about that?
I think that there's probably some questions. If you're out there interviewing some financial advisors to decide who you'd like to work with, I think there's some questions that help give you a clue into if this is an individual that's going to go to that level with you. And, one of them is just asking how engaged and involved they are in continuing to learn and improve their processes. Do they go to conferences, industry conferences, and are they learning?
Oh, that is a great question
a great
because
question.
I can answer that for a lot of the friends that I have in the business, and they wouldn't get a good grade on that one.
Where they stopped learning years and years ago, and they've just been practicing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one would be to inquire about their discovery process. So usually with a new client, an advisor will spend a meeting or two in this discovery data gathering time and ask, what does that entail? What does that look like? Do you have a values clarification process, a goal setting process? And if they can't answer that question, then I might look elsewhere.
And most importantly, though, going through that process and getting vulnerable, getting real, you should feel accepted, not shamed. Everyone has made financial mistakes. So if you're holding back on finding that right professional to get you where you want to go and help you uncover where you want to go, if you've got hurts or pains or mistakes you're holding on to, don't let those hold you back. You'll be accepted. You'll be, they'll work past those to the future that you want. So, Amy, thanks for being on the program. On behalf of Kevin Korhorn, Josh Gregory, myself, and all of us at KFG, we'll see you next week for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management, LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management, LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.